Hey guys, before we start, I just want to say I know you're going to see a lot of skipping. You're going to see skipping right now. There's going to be a lot of drop frames in my videos. See, there was one, and there was another one. I want to apologize for that. I do hate that, but one day I hope I can get rid of this problem. I don't know what the issue is. I've been trying for years of this. At this point, to be honest with you, I know it doesn't make me look good. I know it doesn't make this channel look good. I know a lot of potential new viewers are going to run away, but I've just learned to accept it. I can't fix it. I can't solve it. The only thing I could do to fix it, which I do for some videos, is use my iPhone. And the problem with that is it's just way too much of a hassle to get my iPhone footage over to my computer. You think it would be easy, but I don't know. I have an old laptop, but a new phone. So, I probably have to update one. I just want to let you guys know. I apologize for these frame skips and all of my live action stuff. That's why I mostly try to just show off the games. So. Hello everybody, welcome back to another video game analysis. And today we're going to be talking about technology that wasn't there yet. And this is something that happens a lot. There was ideas that were a little ahead of their time or just weren't managed correctly. Like they just didn't make the cut. And because of that, the examples of today we're going to show off had poor sales. And that's not always going to be like that. I'm sure there were some success stories of ambitious ideas, and maybe you can point out the Switch or the Wii, but there's people who can argue against that. There's also the Wii U. There's a lot to talk about with this subject, but I've boiled it down to 3 areas I wanted to talk about. Because of the content, I'm showing you hardware, and that doesn't. I can't get a lot of footage off of that. We're gonna be flipping the live action me stuff and the game footage. It just help fit my formula here and all that. Hey, welcome back. All right, so first I want to talk about the Ereader. For people who don't know what that is, obviously I'm going to show the footage a little later, but it was an old Game Boy Advance accessory that allowed you to scan cards into the Game Boy or the Game Boy or the GameCube player, GameCube Game Boy player, which is what I'm recording this off of today. And a lot of great ideas came out of the Ereader, but did not sell well at all. And that is attributed to some ambitious ideas just not coming off the ground. Just like the Nintendo Disk Drive or a lot of things, really. There's just some ambitious ideas that were worked. You can tell had a lot of effort behind them, but just didn't work out. The e-reader is one of those childhood things I had where I was surprised it didn't do well and not many people enjoyed it. But it was really cool. It used QR code technology. That's something everybody knows nowadays, QR codes, but people didn't understand it. They understood the idea of scanning a credit card. That was like the closest thing you can get to it, but it just wasn't that attractive to consumers. No one knew what the technology was, and this is going to be a theme here, but nobody knew what to do with the technology. And it had great ideas. Like I was able to scan this. I was able to buy a booster pack for Donkey Kong, scan these cards, and here you go. But then there's also the issue of why do I got to buy this and that? And if I wanted to bring things to Animal Crossing using those those e-reader cards, I'd have to scan the card, get a Game Boy link cable to the GameCube. It's a shame stuff like this isn't. It is done today, but not to the extent they try to do with the GameCube. That's actually very upsetting to me. But nevertheless here, the QR code, it's like the AR technology, augmented reality from the 3DS. It just didn't pick up as much as Nintendo hoped it would. And it's unfortunate, but, either way, it's a fun part of Nintendo's history, and something that would be, I would consider to be like them retrying it with the amiibo craze they started. I think that's a much more successful example, the antithesis of the e-reader, if you will. While there are better examples, the Dreamcast was one of the worst failures of any console. Some can probably argue nowadays the Wii U, but the Wii U has sold more than the Dreamcast, thankfully. The Dreamcast, it's all about the timing. It was a big jump of power, and it was slightly before the generation I feel that everyone felt was really, it wasn't ready to go yet. It wasn't like they didn't take the time to wait like the PS2 or the GameCube did. Because the Saturn wasn't doing well for Sega, and they had to move on. And a similar, an example would be the Switch of the opposite of that, where the Wii wasn't doing well, so Nintendo revamped it. They made something new, but the difference is that was very successful. And what does it come down to? It comes down to what you're offering and what the competition's offering. And on top of that, maybe just because you put a lot of power to it doesn't mean the developers or the players were ready to see what it can do. There was no organic growth process to get from the Saturn to the Dreamcast, or even the Dreamcast and N64 PlayStation 1 era to PS2, GameCube, Xbox. But we'll just take a little look at the console for a bit. I really wish I could have showed you the Atari Jaguar, but I don't own one, nor am I interested in getting one. It took me a long time to want to buy a Dreamcast because I didn't think there was much to it. I already owned the Sonic games, except for Shuffle, but who wants to play Shuffle on the GameCube? But I'm glad I ended up making the investment because there really is some cool fighting games and whatnot. There's some cool ideas, and people are still making Dreamcast games because of the Windows operating software it runs on. It's easy to bootleg, which is something they should have thought of. But that's the thing, the Dreamcast, like the Jaguar, was just a huge jump in power to try to get ahead of the competitors. You sometimes just having more power is not enough because you're going to have these situations where developers aren't going to know what to do with it. There's no organic flow. Like the Jaguar had a lot of issues. The Jaguar wasn't even really a 64-bit console. It was like a bunch of they like to mix some 32, 16, whatever bit stuff together to make 64. Like it was like a mad science experiment. And while the Dreamcast is a very solid console, its low sales are definitely a credit to the fact that nobody knew what to do with it. It wasn't really much worthwhile of an investment, especially with the PS2. When the PS2 was announced, people were afraid. The Dreamcast had its internet connectivity, it had a lot of cool stuff going for it, but the PS2 looked like it could do better and then some. Then you had the GameCube also competing. It wasn't easy for them, and that's why it didn't do well. So we're going to return to look at the Zabbix port. I showed this off a little while ago when we talked about motion control. And the Zabbix port is without a doubt a cash grab. It was, motion control is the topic of the day, much like virtual reality is today. You're going to see a lot of those knockoff virtual reality goggles. The Zabbix here is the best example of consoles that were made to cash in. It was made with cartridges at a time where discs were at all-time power. We thought they'd never go until the Switch. And, we have all this steam, all this excitement generated for the Nintendo Wii, and this console beat it out by 1 year. And, it's fun. It's a fun experience, but it was something that didn't sell well because people wanted to wait for the Wii. But on top of that, the technology of the motion control was kind of not very well thought out. The controls it's not like the Wii Remote and the Nunchuck or any of the other varieties of motion controls we have today. If you were playing bowling, you got a bowling ball. If you were playing tennis, you got a tennis racket. And those were your controls. And you had to control everything from the console. It was kind of like an archaic thing of things of the past that were just easy to throw together. There's I'm trying to think of other examples of this kind of thing. I'm sure there's a lot of that back in the day, like the ColecoVision and television kind of days. You had all these clone consoles of them, or you had all those Pong machines. People wanted to cash in on the excitement, and it applies here too at the Zabbix, because here at the Zabbix, everyone saw the Wii. It's like, oh my god, I gotta try motion control. No matter how you feel about motion control, this was what it was, and here's the people who made the Zabbix going, we got to make this, and we got to beat them out. Try to get some of the pie here, and I was one of those people that fell for that. And that's everything. Thank you guys for watching. Next time, I want to look into mobile games. I finally have the way to show you guys. I finally have a way to record mobile games, so I just want to talk about them. I want to talk about players' interests, types of mobile games you see, the market. It'll be fun. So I'll see you guys then. If there's anything I missed, if there's anything I got wrong, if there's anything you would like to add to the conversation, please do not hesitate to leave a comment. You should like and share and subscribe and do all that. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Billy, your video game analyzer. Have a good day, good night whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you next time.